Professional School. We're going to start our formal academic procession in just a second, and this will be signified by our piper, who will first be leading in the faculty and leadership of our school. He will then return to lead the graduates into the hall. Upon hearing the piper, we kindly ask everyone to stand if you're able, and remain standing while the procession enters the hall. Once the procession is completed, the Chancellor will take the podium to call the ceremony to order, and you may be seated at that time.
Good morning, everyone. Honored guests, faculty and colleagues, family and friends, and 2022-23 Master of Psychology graduates who will be entering now. I hereby declare this convocation ceremony in session. You may be seated. We we hereby acknowledge that the place in which we gather, now known as Toronto, Ontario, has been a site of human activity for Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. It's the traditional territory of many nations, including the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and Mississaugas of the Credit River. This territory is governed by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. It's an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe Ojibwe confederacies and allied nations intended to peaceably share and care for the lands, waters, and resources around the Great Lakes. We call on us gathered here today and witness to this acknowledgement to respectfully recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples in our communities, and we commit to engaging with our Indigenous relatives in reciprocal relationships that are honorable, accountable, and focused on necessary change. The truth is, those of us who are new to this land have not been so wise in shepherding the lands, waters, and resources, and we need to learn how better to do that. My name is Linda Page. I'm the chancellor at Undergraduate Professional School, although just between you and me, I'd rather be called grandmother. I warmly welcome each of you as we honor, it brings tears to my eyes, this extraordinary group of reflective scholar practitioners. They earned their degrees in this past academic year, and I now call on our Chief Operating Officer, Chantal Hollander, to give opening remarks.
Thank you, Chancellor Page, grandmother. Welcome, esteemed faculty, board members, family, friends, staff to Adler Graduate Professional School's 10th annual convocation. And welcome to our incredible graduates. This is your day. Woo! Applause. So, we've all come together today to honor, recognize, and celebrate your significant achievement. So I came across a proverb lately that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I think it's fair to say that this wasn't a short journey, and you've certainly come far over the past several years. So I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge those that have traveled along the way on your. So to our incredible faculty, a heartfelt thank you. Gratitude and miigwech to our board of directors. Actually, I'm going to have you stand. Moment. It's not, know who you are. Our leadership team and staff, I'm humbled and truly fortunate to work with such a dedicated and supportive group of people. You can see them because they're wearing Adler name tags, so I'm sure you all know them by now. And a special thank you to the Convocation team and Hart House staff for making this event happen. And I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the graduates' family, friends, and loved ones, both present and not able to join us today. So we really recognize the crucial role that you have played in getting ones here today. So thank you for your support in all of its forms, from lending an understanding ear to sneaking into a Zoom class background to bring a cup of tea. So at this time, I'd actually like to give the graduates a chance during the ceremony to acknowledge their support system. So if you wouldn't mind standing and turning around and facing the audience, and let's just give them a giant standing ovation. Well deserved. Woo! Thank you. Okay, so now we've acknowledged everyone that's helped you get here, so now it's back to you. So shortly you'll be taking your moment across the stage, and I just want to make sure you really soak in that moment. So you're going to process up on this side. You'll come across here. You can come in front of the podium, just a little housekeeping. You'll be hooded by our Dean of Psychology and then presented with your degree by Chair of the Board, Jim Little. And so, yes, please just take your moment then. Over here, you can, have a little, strike a pose, do a dance. We'll still give you your degree, even if you do that. And we did, so you'll see there's a little X marks the spot. Friends and family, we have a little spot reserved for the paparazzi to come up and take a photo there at that little X too. So feel free to take your time. We're small. Even though this is the biggest graduating class, we're still small enough that we can enjoy the moment. So, well, without further ado, I'd like to invite our provost, Dr. Begum Burji, who will introduce our guest speaker today.
Can you hear me? Fabulous. So welcome, graduating students, family, friends, Adler staff, faculty, board, and alum. So I first met Dr. Veena Gogari a few weeks back at lunch with Dr. Linda Page. We connected immediately because of our Gujarati heritage and also our love of tropical fruits, particularly mangoes. And we talked about, different ways in which we can serve mangoes. We talked of our EDI journeys, equity, diversity, inclusion journeys in the post-secondary sector, and shared many parallel stories. And so we talked then about how to center EDI as a way of being in psychology as part of today's keynote. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Veena Gogari. Dr. Gogari is the Vice Dean, Research and Program Innovation at the School of Graduate Studies and a Professor of Clinical Psychology and Psychiatry at the University of Toronto. Her research brings together multiple methodologies, including neuroimaging, behavioral genetics, cognitive and affective experimental psychology, and clinical assessment. The main aim of her research is to advance scientific knowledge in the causes, course and outcome, and treatment of psychosis. Her laboratory also studies other disorders, such as mood and addictive disorders. She is also published in the area of training and education in both undergraduate and graduate studies. She was awarded 2 prestigious national awards in 2021. The Canadian Psychological Association Award for Distinguished Contributions to Education and Training in Psychology, and the Canadian Council of Professional Psychology Program Award for Excellence in Professional Training. She was the editor for Canadian Psychology from 2019 to 2022, the flagship journal of the Canadian Psychological Association, and associate editor of Clinical Psychological Science and incoming associate editor of Schizophrenia Bulletin. Many, many accomplishments and many more, which I can't go into today. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Gogari.
I had to go paperless, and then you find out for some reason your iPad is not your speech. So just give me 1 second and think about how wonderful you all are. Thank you, Provost Begum, for those wonderful opening remarks. Good morning and congratulations to the Adler Master of Psychology class of 2023. Maybe I'll just hold this. It'll be easier and move this out of the way. And then I could move around. So my name is Veena Gogari, and it is an absolute honor to be part of your celebration today. Seeing you all at this milestone you worked towards for at least 2 years brings me incredible joy and reminds me why those of us who work in professional psychology do what we do. On behalf of professional psychology, congratulations on this tremendous achievement. Today's event allows graduates to celebrate their hard work and well-earned accomplishments with family and friends. It's very important that we acknowledge their tremendous role in supporting our graduates, be it psychologically and/or financially. So thank you to this broader community for your support of our graduates and equally our profession. In addition to your formal education graduates, I imagine you have learned as much outside of the classrooms and practice settings as you did inside. And you made meaningful connections to our communities, that you experienced a period of great personal growth, and that you made lasting friendships and accumulated wonderful memories that will last a lifetime. Graduate school in professional psychology is a unique endeavor, one that requires conviction, curiosity, and passion, as you blend science with art, research with practice, and aspiration with reality. I know, I sit on that one for a while. The challenges along that journey forced you to dig deep and expand your sense of self and what you thought possible. Besides the many intellectual and personal challenges of a professional psychology degree, you, the class of 2023, have also had to contend with the extraordinarily trying circumstances of the COVID-19 global pandemic for the past few years. Not only did we rethink how we offer our courses and do our research, we had to rethink our health and wellness services. The courage, the compassion, and the grace you demonstrated through those circumstances continues to move and inspire your colleagues, your professors, and your administrators. So in addition to your professional achievements, you should also feel immensely proud of the people that you have become. This ceremony is a threshold. It marks the culmination of your time here, but also the beginning of everything that is to come. I want to encourage all of you, whether you establish a clinical or coaching practice, pursue a career in research or health policy, or go on to earn a doctorate, to reflect on the values that guide your work. The vision of the Masters of Psychology at the Adler Professional Graduate School is to celebrate and center the uniqueness of every individual and stress the individual's social embeddedness. Adler himself endorses the core value that everyone has a right to live life free of oppression and deprivation, and was a proponent of social justice and building community. Succinctly stated in your program values is what we want for ourselves, we want for all. The last few years have taught us not only the disruptions of a worldwide pandemic, but also how illness differentially affects communities, with Indigenous and racialized communities suffering greater rates. Wellness is not equally distributed. As you move on to the next phase of your professional life, take some time to reflect on those ideals and how you will carry them forward into your lives and the lives of the people that you will influence. Reflection is not easy and can be uncomfortable. But as we all know from our own work, uncomfortableness is an expected reaction to certain situations and not to be retreated from. To really understand and interpret terms such as equity, inclusion, social justice, anti-racism, anti-oppression, decolonization, and reconciliation, we will have to dig deep and evaluate some of our fundamental beliefs. Recently, my own belief system has been shaken. Although I have experienced many things personally and in society, none have affected me to the extent of this one event. I'm sure it's one you also all remember. In May 2020, George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. further igniting issues of racial justice within every sector of society. Having completed my PhD in clinical psychology at the University of Minnesota, the scenes from Minneapolis in 2020 looked very familiar to me, and a nagging question emerged. Why was I unaware of the racial inequity in a city I lived in for 6 years, especially when training to be a clinical psychologist? That made me truly think about my privilege and also my ability to live a segregated life unknowingly. Different spheres existed, and it was very easy for me to keep to my own liberal educational sector. Although I was aware of the lack of representation in professional psychology, I never paid it much attention because I was into myself. Aggregated data collected by the Canadian Psychological Association from accredited doctoral programs shows that from all graduating students in 2017 to 2018, the median number of Indigenous students was 0. In addition, an Indigenous task force reported that as of 2018, there were at most 12 practicing and/or teaching Indigenous psychologists in all of Canada. When made aware of such data, it is difficult to ignore or explain it away as a random phenomenon. This really made me reflect on my own role in the system and how I could be an agent for change. In my journey, one of the most important things I have learned is the need for advocacy in our profession. In addition to science and practice, we need to intertwine our profession with advocacy. Not only do we need to advocate for our clients, we need to advocate for the importance of psychological wellness to our society and our own role in enhancing it. Of the entire health workforce in Canada, only 1% work in mental health, and only 7% of those are psychologists. In expanding our numbers, we also need to advocate for a representative field that reflects the intersectional identities of the population we serve, and especially the most vulnerable of that population. Our interest lies not only in addressing individual client issues, but also in helping to dismantle the systemic factors that led to those issues. It is critical when discussions occur in our field that we represent our discipline and that we take our seat at the table. Another essential lesson that I learned is to question the notion of merit. I truly believed for a very long time, through awarding opportunities to particular individuals, we were rewarding a combination of aptitude and effort. However, John Rawls, a prominent political philosopher, argues that since basic inequities are embedded in the structure of our society, people begin their lives from profoundly unequal starting points. Therefore, can such a concept of merit truly exist in our current society? These elemental disparities in socioeconomic status that intersect with identity run deep and pervasively. They influence individuals' opportunities throughout the life course to produce markedly different individual outcomes. Without acknowledging these inherently unequal beginnings, it is impossible to claim that outcomes are based solely on merit. It is important, therefore, to celebrate all forms of excellence and allow a wider pool of individuals to have access to our coveted opportunities. A third key learning is related to the importance of professional psychology programs such as your own. So professional master's and professional doctorate programs are tremendous contributors of health and wellness professionals. These programs graduate larger cohorts of well-trained individuals, such as yourselves, to address the country's mental health crisis. In addition, the diversity of trainees enrolled in professional programs tend to be greater given the relevance of applied training to society's needs and shorter duration of degrees. I sincerely thank your senior leadership, Linda Page and Begum Verji, that I got to spend some time with, amongst others, in creating this inclusive Adler graduate professional psychology program. So you are changing the world just by existing. And last, to achieve our collective aims, I have learned the value of accountability. We need to keep each other accountable, our profession accountable, but most of all, we must hold ourselves accountable for our own learning and transformation processes. We ourselves need to develop reflexivity and cultural humility. and to embrace the need for lifelong reflection and learning in our profession. Because if we continue to posit that our accreditation panels or professional organizations bear sole responsibility for improving our field's social impact, we fail to realize that those very positions are held quite literally by ourselves and our colleagues. It's us. We compose the panels and professional organizations, and we need to take up these roles. Invite individuals from historically disadvantaged groups to meaningfully participate and productively disrupt, and keep ourselves accountable. Hence, change must originate from within ourselves. And through transforming ourselves, I have no doubt that the corresponding transformation of our field, it will become both diverse and just. Thus, Canada needs all of you. We need you to continue your work towards more efficient and inclusive health and wellness services. We need your expertise to unpack the ways in which systemic inequalities affect individual psychological outcomes, but we also need you to take care of yourselves, given your essential role in maintaining the wellness of our population. Again, I wish you the very best class of 2023. We believe in you and thank you for all you do, and we know continue will do. Today, we get a chance to celebrate each and every one of you. So thank you very much for the privilege of being here today to join you in this important milestone in your professional and personal lives. With gratitude.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gogari. And clearly, the guidance that Dr. Gogari has developed as part of her professional life has been part of what has guided us, the faculty and staff at Adler. So thank you for encouraging that. It's now my pleasure actually, to present this year's Chancellor's Awards. But first, let me explain that the title Emeritus or Emerita, old Latin, separation, masculine and feminine. Anyway, Emeritus or Emerita is an honor conferred to recognize meritorious achievements in services to schools all over the world, to schools and the communities. It's not just a title, even though the people I'm presenting this award to are retiring or have retired from positions at the school. The recipients maintain a lifetime presence on Adler media and lifetime access to resources such as our library and offices, and of course, future students who need MRP and thesis supervision. So that is, we invite these people to remain connected with Adler in perpetuity. Today we are recognizing 2 colleagues who are moving to new positions after playing meritorious roles, and that's the definition of people who have emeritus or emerita status. Meritorious roles in the success of our graduates and the school in general. First of all, Dr. Jim Little, would you please step forward? On behalf of my, because of my role here and on behalf of the school, it's my great pleasure to present this Chancellor's Award, 2023 Chancellor's Award, to Dr. R. James Little. In recognition of your many contributions during your term as president from 2017 to 2022, you are hereby granted the title President Emeritus. With gratitude for your unwavering dedication, and I know you all know about this, your unwavering dedication to students and to your inspiring demonstration of Adlerian principles of mutual respect and social interest. 25 June 2023.
When I saw Linda pick up the plaque, the very first thought that went through my mind is, oh God, don't drop it. I greatly appreciate the recognition. But I would be remiss to say that this is something that I earned, because I would not be here today. Best wishes in the future, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll put this over here.
As you know, Dr. Little is not leaving us. He is very generously, graciously accepted the role of getting ourselves at last a practicum site. And that's what he is spending his time. Thank you. Now, Dr. Begum Verji, would you please step forward? Presented to 2023 Chancellor's Award presented to Dr. Begum Verji in recognition of your many contributions during your term as Provost from 2016 to 2023. You are hereby granted the title Provost Emerita. With gratitude for your courageous leadership in confronting challenges to Adler's mission to advance diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in graduate professional education and beyond. Thank you, Dr. Verji.
Gosh, thank you so much. I have spent over 30 years, more than 30 years in the post-secondary sector, so you get a sense of how old I am. And I have spent all of that time in service to advocating for access and inclusion across all post-secondary institutions I've worked in. And so I've done this primarily for students, for all of you, to ensure that you have quality education that meets your needs. And so I dedicate this award to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Dr. Verji will remain connected not only as a Provost Emerita, but also as working with our DEIB task force, for which we are very grateful. Thank you. And now, what we have all been waiting for, and that is the actually presentation. You get hooded and you get your degrees. As you may know, these graduates completed requirements for their degrees at different times during the past year, and our faculty grants the degree whenever a person's eligibility has been determined. And for a professional school, that's important because if you actually have your degree, then you can get jobs or apply for further education. So we think that's really important. And on the other hand, we want to have a graduation fun time. So what we do here is the Dean of Psychology, Dr. David Teplin. By the way, what a beautiful message he has written to you in the program. Dr. David Teplin represents the faculty and he will hood each of you and present them to our chair of the board of directors, Dr. Jim Little. This indicates confirmation by the school's governing body that our degree conferral process matches the accreditation requirements of the Ontario Ministry of Colleges and Universities. So at this point, I invite our registrar, Shane Finney, to begin the presentation of graduates.
Thank you, Linda. Before we start the presentation of graduates for confirmation, I wanted to give some quick instructions on how we're going to proceed today. So graduates will be asking you to come to the meeting point in front of the stage where Norma is now.